facade. A glorious, victorious charade. But behind the stucco terraces, hypocrisies and heresies are spreading beyond your guard. London's doors so outwardly respectable conceal a web of sin. A sin so small it's almost undetectable. That one little lie, that one little lie is where the road to hell can begin. It's the little lies that get you into trouble. The lies so small, they can't be breaking laws.
That thoughtless piece of fiction leads to capture and conviction
behind closed doors. It's the little lies that get you into trouble. The paradigms who turn to paramours. One petty peccadillo, the wrong head on the wrong pillow. Behind closed doors. Behind closed doors. Behind closed doors. Where the curtains twitch. Ah, the truth is being bent. The truth is being bent from Bloomsbury to Soho and Shoreditch, but not, of course, in Pioneers. Not, of course, in Pioneers. Not, of course, in Pioneers. It's the little lies that get you into trouble. The eggs that hatch, producing dinosaurs. The flustered incoherence just to keep up one's appearance. Behind closed doors. Behind closed doors. Behind closed. If veracity's adjusted, it can lead you into custody. Behind closed doors.
Beatty?
Sis, dear, dinner isn't over, surely.
Well, not quite. I had one of my convenient headaches and cleared out. Here you are. Bounty from the sideboard.
Oh, I mustn't take it.
Yes, you may. It's only a few cob nuts and an apple. Besides, it's a horrid shame you don't grub with us.
What? A poor little music mistress engaged at 4 guineas a quarter?
Yes. Fancy getting a girl like you for 4 guineas a quarter. Now peg away at your apple.
There's company at dinner, isn't there?
Oh, well, hardly. Aunt Charlotte hasn't arrived yet, so there's only old Bullamy.
Isn't old Bullamy anybody?
Well, old Bullamy? Well, he's only like the governor, a police magistrate at the Mulberry Street Police Court.
Oh! Does each police court have 2 magistrates?
Now, all the best have 2.
Don't they quarrel over getting the interesting cases? I should.
I don't know how they manage. Perhaps they, toss up. Used to hear the big sensations. Now, come and perch beside me, Beatty. There's a poppet.
Oh, I say, sis, won't your mamma be angry when she finds I haven't gone home?
Oh, put it on your pupil. Say I'm very backward.
I think you are extremely forward, in some ways.
Oh, Beatty, you don't know the half of it. By jingo, there are times when I feel such a swell of agitation inside me. I wonder the person next to me can't feel it too. Can you feel it, Beatty? Can you?
Yes, I think I probably can.
Oh, Beatty!
Sis, I must go. Your mamma will be cross.
Well, the mater is quite occupied with her cob nuts.
Your stepfather, then.
What? The dear old governor? Mm-hmm. Oh, why, he's too good-natured to say boo to a goose. You know, Beatty, I was at school in Brighton when Ma got married. When she got married for the second time, I mean. And when I heard the new dad was a police magistrate, I was scared. Said I to myself, if I don't mind my P's and Q's, the governor, from force of habit, will find me all my pocket money. But it's quite the reverse. He's the mildest, meekest... Oh, look out! Someone's coming.
One and two.
Master Sis! Master Sis!
Yeah, what is it, Wick?
The port wine, what you asked for, sir. I couldn't get it away before. The old gentlemen do hug port wine, so...
What, got a glass?
Yes, sir. What ain't missed ain't mourned, Master Sis? What a young gentleman it is. And only 14. 14? He behaves like 40. Why, even Cook has made an ash of everything since he's been in the house. And as for Popham, oh, look out, Master Sis!
One and two. Where's the port?
Port?
Port wine. Mrs. is furious there. You're carrying it about with ya.
Oh, so I am. Carrying it about with me. Shows what a sharp eye I keep on the governor's wives.
There's that boy with her again. Minx. Her 2 hours was up long ago. Why doesn't she go home? Master Sis, I've got a message for you.
Oh, for me, Popham?
Yes, sir. The message is from a young lady who up to last Wednesday was all in all to you. Her name is Emma Popham.
Oh, go along, Popham.
It wasn't go along Popham till that music girl came in the house. Well, I will go along. But cast your eye over this before you sleep tonight. Well, Bo Bell's magazine is filled with stories just like ours, Master Sis. Well, this one's called Jilted. Or could blood atone? Oh, wrap it in your handkerchief. It came round the butter.
Oh, bother the girl. Yeah, Beatty, she is jealous of you.
A parlour maid jealous of me. And with a bit of a child of 14.
Well, I may be only 14, but I feel like a grown-up man. Well, you're only 16. Yeah, there's not much difference, and if you wait for me, I'll soon be as much of a man as you are a woman. Will you wait for me, Beatty?
Oh, I can't. I'm getting older every minute.
Oh, I wish I could borrow 5 or 6 years from somebody.
Many a person would be glad to lend them. And, oh, I wish you could.
Oh, you do? Why?
Because.
Look out! It's the mater.
1 and 2 and 1 and 2.
Where's this child? At your music again.
Yes, Ma, always at it. You'll spoil my taste by forcing it if you're not careful.
Oh, we have no right to keep Miss Tomlinson so late.
Oh, thank you. It doesn't matter. I'm afraid we're not making very great progress.
Well, if I play that again, will you kiss me?
I don't know, I'm sure. May I promise that, ma'am?
No! Certainly not. If only I could persuade Aeneas to dismiss this protege of his and engage a music master would ease my conscience a little. If this girl knew the truth, how indignant she would be. And then there's the injustice to the boy himself and to my husband's friends, who are always petting and fondling and caressing what they call a fine little man of 14. 14. What an idiot I have been to conceal my child's real age. Charlotte is late. I wish she would come. It will be a relief to worry her with my miseries. I will speak to Aeneas about this little girl at any rate.
Smoke anywhere, Ptolemy, smoke anywhere. Not with my bronchitis, thank ye. Ah, my darling. All I take after dinner is a jujube. Sometimes two. May I tempt Mrs. Poskett?
No, thank you.
Miss Tomlinson's still here. No, don't go, don't go. Glad to see Sis so fond of his music. Your sister Charlotte is behind her time, my dear.
The train is delayed, I suppose.
You must stay and see my sister-in-law, Bullamy.
Pleasure, pleasure.
I have never met her yet. We shall share first impressions. In the interim, will Miss Tomlinson delight us with a little music?
Oh, if this young lady is going to sing, she might like one of my juju.
Dear me, how come nuts into the drawing room? Of what is my darling thinking so deeply? Another. My pet, there are nuts on the drawing room carpet.
Yes, I want to speak to you, Aeneas.
About the nuts?
No, about Miss Tomlinson, your little protege.
Ah, nice little thing.
Very, but not old enough to exert any decided influence over the boy's musical future. Why not engage a music master?
What, for a mere child?
A mere child.
A boy of 14?
14.
A boy of 14? Not yet out of Cherney's exercises?
If we were alone, I might have the desperation to tell him all.
Besides, my dear, you know the interest I take in Miss Tomlinson. She is one of the brightest little spots on my hobby horse. Like all our servants, like everybody in my employ. She has been brought to my notice through the unhappy medium of the police court over which it is my destiny to preside. Our servant Wick is the son of a man I committed to trial for marrying 3 wives. Popham is the orphan child of a convicted baby farmer. Even Cook was once a notorious dipsomaniac. And has even now not entirely freed herself from earlier influences. And this poor child, what is she?
Yes, I know.
The daughter of a superannuated general who abstracted 4 silk umbrellas from the Army and Navy stores. And on a fine day, too.
Very good.
Thank you, thank you.
Oh, my dear Poskett, I really must congratulate you on that boy of yours. Your stepson. What a wonderful lad. And so confoundedly advanced, too.
Yes, isn't he?
While the piano was going on just now, he told me one of the most humorous stories I've ever heard. Oh, bless me, I don't know when I've taken so many jujus.
Oh, my dear Bullamy, my entire marriage is the greatest possible success. A little romantic, too. Beautiful woman.
Very, very. I never convicted a more stylish, elegant creature.
Oh, thank you, Bullamy. We met abroad at Spa when I was on my holiday.
I shall go there next year.
She lost her first husband about 12 months ago in India. He was an army contractor when he died. She came to England, placed her boy at school at Brighton, and then moved about quietly from place to place, drinking.
Drinking?
The waters. She's a little dyspeptic. We encountered each other at the Tour des Fontaines. By accident, I trod upon her dress.
Oh, I must go. Good night, sis dear.
I apologized. We talked about the weather. We drank out of the same glass. Discovered we suffered from the same ailment. And the result is complete happiness.
Oh, Aeneas.
My darling. Mwah. Mwah. Echo.
I suppose so. Mwah.
Yes, curious. Romantic story, isn't it?
Good night, Mrs. Poskett. I shall be here again tomorrow.
I'm afraid you must be neglecting your other pupils.
Oh, they're not so interesting as sis. Master Farringdon, good night.
Good night, dear.
We were married abroad without consulting friends or relations on either side. That's how it is that I've not yet met my sister-in-law, Miss Verinder, who's coming down from Shropshire to stay with us. She ought to
Miss Verinder has come.
Why, here she is.
Charlotte. Oh, my dear Charlie.
Aggie, darling.
Mwah, mwah.
Aren't I late? There's a fork on the line. You could cut it with a knife. Oh, is that your boy?
Yes.
Good gracious. What is he doing in an Eton jacket at his age?
I shan't think about my boy's age yet a while.
Oh.
There is my husband.
Oh. I congratulate you. I suppose you ought to kiss me.
Oh, no.
Welcome to my house, Miss Verinder.
Oh, I beg your pardon. How do you do?
Mrs. Poskett's an interfering woman.
Mr. Bullamy.
Well, come upstairs, dear. Will you have some tea?
Oh, no, thank you, Pet. But I should like a glass of soda water.
Soda water?
Well, dear, you can put what you like at the bottom of it.
Give me back my bow bells when you've read it, you imp.
By Jove, Gov, isn't Aunt Charlotte a stunner?
Seems a charming woman. Posket's got the wrong one. That comes of marrying without first seeing the lady's relations.
Come on, Gov, let's have a gamble. Old Bullamay will join us.
A gamble? Yes, the boy has taught me a new game called Beelzebub. His mother is not aware that we play for money, of course, but we do. Who wins? He does now. But he tells me I shall win when I know the game better. What a boy he is!
Yes, isn't he a wonderful lad?
And only 14, too. And I'll tell you something else. Perhaps it would be better if you didn't mention it to his mother.
No, certainly not.
He's invested a little money for me.
What in?
Not in. On. On silicon for the St. Ledger. Silicon to win and butterscotch. 1, 2, 3.
Good Lord.
Yes, the dear boy said, Gov. It isn't fair you should give me all the tips. I'll give you some. And he did. He gave me silicon and butterscotch. Why, he'll manage it for you, too, if you like. Plank it down, he calls it.
Oh, dear me, this boy will quite ruin me in jujubes.
Already? Yeah, look sharp. Gov, can you lend me a solve to start with?
A sovereign to start with. We didn't expect you to return so soon, my dear.
Well, go on amusing yourselves, I insist. Only... Well, don't teach my boy to play cards, will you? I'm glad of this. We can tell each other our miseries undisturbed.
Yes.
Will you begin?
Well, at last I am engaged
Oh!
to Captain Horace Vale.
Charlie, I'm so glad.
Yes, so is he. He proposed to me at the Hunt Ball, in the passage, Tuesday week.
What did he say?
Oh, he said, "By Jove, I love you awfully."
Oh, well. And what did you say?
Oh, I said, well, if you're going to be as eloquent as all that, by Jove, I can't stand out.
Oh.
And so we settled it. The only cloud on the horizon is that the captain positively forbids flirting until after we're married.
Oh.
That's my misery. What's yours, Aggie?
Something awful.
Oh. Well, cheer up, Aggie. What is it?
Well, Charlie, you know I lost my poor dear first husband at a very delicate age.
Well, you were only 35, dear.
Yes, that's what I mean. 35 is a very delicate age to find yourself single. You're neither one thing nor the other. Not exactly a young filly, and you don't care to pull a handsome. However, I soon met Mr. Posket at Spa, bless him.
Yes, and you nominated yourself for the matrimonial stage.
Yes, Charlie, and in less than a month I went triumphantly over the course. But Charlie, dear, I didn't carry the fair weight for age. And that's my trouble.
Oh, dear.
Undervaluing Aeneas's love in a moment of, I hope not, unjustifiable vanity. I took 5 years from my total, which made me 31 on my wedding morning.
Well, dear, many a misguided woman has done that before you.
Yes, Charlie, but don't you see the consequences? It just thrown everything out. As I am now 31 instead of 36 as I ought to be, it stands to reason that I couldn't have been married 20 years ago, which I was. So I've had to fib in proportion.
I see, making your first marriage occur only 15 years ago.
Exactly.
Well then, dear, why worry yourself further?
Well, dear, don't you see? If I am 31 now, my boy couldn't have been born 19 years ago, and if he could, he oughtn't to have been. Because on my own showing, I wasn't married till 4 years later. Now you see the result.
Which is that young gentleman over there is only 14.
Beelzebub!
Oh!
Precisely. Isn't it awkward? And his moustache is becoming more and more obvious every day.
What does the boy himself believe?
He believes his mother, of course, as a boy should. As a prudent woman, I've always kept him in ignorance of his age in case of necessity. It's terribly hard on the poor child because his instincts are so horribly in advance of his condition.
Yes, I can see how that would happen.
His food, his books, his amusements. I will be candid with you, Charlotte. I fear the day may very soon arrive when he can no longer be pacified with his stick and hoop.
Yes, very soon.
And with all this suffering, his wretched mother has the remorseful consciousness of having shortened her offspring's life.
Oh, come, you haven't quite done that.
Yes, I have. Because if he lives to be 100, he must be buried at 95.
That's true.
And then there's another aspect. He's a great favourite with all our friends. Women friends especially. Even his little music mistress and the girl servants hug and kiss him because he's such an engaging boy, and I can't stop it. And it's very awful to see these innocent women fondling a young man of 19.
Well, the women don't know it.
But they'd like to know it. And they ought to know it. The other day, I found the poor boy sitting on Lady Jenkins' lap.
No.
Permitting himself to be tickled. Charlotte should have heard the gurgles coming out of the child. I have no right to compromise Lady Jenkins in that way. And she, twice chairperson of the Society for Moral Reform. So now, Charlie, you see the whirlpool in which I'm struggling. If you can throw me a rope, pray do.
What sort of a man is Mr. Poskett, Aggie?
The best creature in the world. He's a practical philanthropist.
Take my advice. Tell him the whole story.
I dare not.
Why?
I should have to take such a back seat for the rest of my married life.
Oh, not another minute more, thank you. What is the point of talking about revenge, my dear Poskett, when I haven't a penny piece left to play with?
I'm in the same predicament. Sis will lend us some money, won't you, Sis?
Rather. No, thank you. That boy is one too many for me. I've never met such a child. Good night, Mrs. Poskett.
Going so early.
Oh, I hate a bad loser, don't you, Gav?
Show Mr. Bullamy downstairs, sis.
Good night, Poskett. Oh, I haven't a shilling left for my cabman.
Oh, I'll pay the cab.
No, thank you. I'll walk. Ah, not even a jujube left. And on a foggy night, too.
Anything for me?
One, sir.
From a shield blonde. Lucky the mater didn't see it.
This one's for you, Charlie, already.
Oh? Spare my blushes, it's from Horace.
Oh.
Captain Vale. The dear wretch knew I was coming to you. Hey-ho. Oh, will you excuse me?
Certainly.
Excuse me, please.
Oh, certainly, dear.
Certainly, my darling. Excuse me, won't you?
Certainly.
Certainly, Inez. Lady Jenkins is unwell.
If Captain Horace Vale stood before me at this moment, I'd slap his face.
Charlotte.
Dear Miss Verinder, your desperate flirtation with Gordon Bristow at the meet on Tuesday last, 3 days after our engagement, has just come to my knowledge. Your letters and gifts, including the gold-headed hairpin given me at the hunt ball, shall be returned tomorrow. By Jove, all is over. Horace Vale. Oh dear.
Oh, Charlie, I'm so sorry. However, you can deny it.
No, that's the worst of it. I can't.
Oh, dear.
My darling, you will be delighted. A note from Colonel Lucian.
Lucian. Lucian, I seem to know the name.
He's an old schoolfellow of mine who went to India many years ago. He's just come home. I met him at the club last night and asked him to name an evening to dine with us. He accepts for tomorrow.
Lucian, I got it.
Listen, it will be especially delightful to me as I believe I am an old friend of your wife and of her first husband. You may recall me to her recollection by reminding her that I am the Captain Lucian, who stood sponsor to her boy when he was christened at Baroda.
Ah!
My dear.
I've twisted my foot.
Oh, now do nuts come into the drawing room.
Aggie, the boy's godfather.
When was the child christened?
A month after he was born. They always are. Let me see the letter. I may recognize the handwriting. Thank you so much.
Certainly, my pet. Awakened memories of number one. That's the worst of marrying a widow. It's impossible to ignore her previous convictions.
19A Cork Street. Charlie, get your things. We're going out.
Agatha, you're mad.
I'm going to shut this man's mouth before he comes into the house tomorrow. Aeneas!
My dear.
Lady Jenkins, Adelaide, is very unwell. She can't put her foot to the ground with neuralgia.
Bless me.
I have known her for 6 long years.
Only 6 weeks, my love.
Weeks are years in close friendship. My place is by her side.
No, but surely she was slightly indisposed, caught trifling cold at the dog show. Where do you buy your handkerchiefs? There's nothing about neuralgia or putting her foot to the ground here.
Oh, what's the matter, Gav?
Your mother and Aunt Charlotte are going out.
Well, out of their minds. It's a horrid night.
Yes, but Lady Jenkins is ill.
Oh. Is Ma mentioned in the will?
Good gracious, what a boy. No, sis, your mother is merely going to sit at Lady Jenkins' bedside to hold her hand and to tell her where one goes to buy pocket handkerchiefs.
By Jove. The mater can't be home till 12:30 or 1 o'clock.
Well, much later, if Lady Jenkins' condition is alarming.
Oh, hooray. Just 10:30. Yeah, Greenwich Mean, eh, Gov?
What an extraordinary luck.
Well, they have to get from here to Campden Hill and back again. I'll tell Wick to get them the worst horse on the rank.
My dear child, you...
3/4 of an hour's journey from here, at least. Twice 3/4, that's 1 hour and a half. An hour with Lady Jenkins. When women get together, Gov, you know, they do talk. That's 2 hours and a half. Oh, Gov, will you come with me?
Go with you where?
Hotel de France, Meek Street. A sharp hansom does it in 10 minutes.
Meek Street? Hotel de France? Child, do you know what you're talking about?
Oh, rather. Look here, Gov. Honour bright. No blab if I show you a letter.
I won't promise anything.
Well, you won't. You know, Gov, you're doing a very unwise thing to check the confidence of a lad like me.
Yes, my boy.
Well, can you calculate the inestimable benefit it is to a youngster to have someone always at his elbow? Someone older, wiser, and better off.
Of course, I want you to make a companion of me.
Then how the deuce can I do that if you won't come with me to Meek Street?
But deceiving your mother...
Deceiving the mater would be to tell her a crammer, a thing I hope we're both of us much above.
Good boy.
But concealing the fact that we're going to have a bit of supper at the Hotel de France is doing my mother a great kindness because it would upset her considerably to know of the circumstances. Yeah, you've been wrong, Gov, but we won't say anything more about that. Read the letter.
Hotel de France, Meek Street West, Mr. Cecil Farrington, Esquire, dear sir. Unless you drop in and settle your arrears, I really cannot keep your room for you any longer. Yours obediently, Achille Blonde. Good gracious! You have a room at the Hotel de France?
Yeah, a room? It's little better than a coop.
But you don't occupy it.
No, but my friends do. When I was at Brighton, I was in the best set. Hope I always shall be. And I didn't want my friends to make free with your house.
Oh, didn't you?
Yeah, so I took a room at the Hotel de France. When I want to put a man up, he goes there. You see, Gov, it was you I was considering more than myself.
But you're a mere child!
A fellow is just as old as he feels, and I feel no end of a man. Hush, they'll be down any moment. I'm off to tell Wick about the rickety four-wheeler.
Yes, your mother will discover that I've been out!
Oh, I forgot. You're married, aren't you?
Married?
Oh, say you're going to the club.
But that's not the truth, sir!
Well, yes, it is. We'll pop in at the club on our way, and you can get me a bitters.
Good gracious, what a boy! Well, Hotel de France, Meek Street? What shall I do? Tell his mother? No, it would turn her hair grey. If I could just get a quiet word with this Mr. Achille Blonde, I could put a stop to everything. That is my best course. Not to lose a moment in rescuing the child from his boyish indiscretion. Yes, I must go with Sis to Meek Street.
Have you sent for a cab, Aeneas?
Sis is looking after that, my dear.
Oh, poor Sis. How late we keep him up.
Wick has gone for a cab, ma dear.
Thank you, Sis, darling.
If you'll excuse me, I think I'll go to my room. I have another bad headache coming on.
Oh, run along, my boy.
Mwah. Good night, Ma. Yeah, good night, Aunt Charlotte.
Good night, sis.
Night, Gov.
You've told a story. Too, sir. You said you were going up to your room.
So I am, to dress.
You said you had a bad headache coming on.
So I have. I always get a bad headache after the Hotel de France.
Oh, what a boy!
I wish the cab would come.
My pet, the idea has struck me that as you are going out, it might not be a bad notion for me to pop into my club.
Your club? But you were there last night.
Well, I know, my darling. Many men look in at their clubs every night.
A nice example for Sis, truly. I particularly desire that you should remain at home tonight, Aeneas.
Oh, dear.
Well, why not let him go to the club, Agatha?
Well, suppose he should meet Colonel Lukin there.
Well, if Colonel Lukin is there, we shan't find him at Cork Street.
Well, then, we will follow him to the club.
Ladies never call at a club.
Such things have been known.
The cab is coming, ma'am.
Coming? Why hasn't it come?
Will I walk quicker than the cab, ma'am? It's a good horse. Slow, but very certain.
We will come down.
Ha! Just what the horse has done. Yes, ma'am.
Good night, Aeneas.
I wish you would allow me to go to the club, my pet.
I'm surprised at your obstinacy, Aeneas. It's so very different to my first husband.
Really, Agatha, I'm shocked. I presume the late Mr. Farrington occasionally used his clubs.
Mr. Farrington would have chosen death rather than just please me. As a matter of fact, he did. Good night, Mr. Poskett.
The first stiff. Good night, Mr. Poskett.
Good night, Miss Verinder. Oh, I'm not to go to the club. I set a bad example for Sis. Ha! Ha! I'm different from her first husband. Yes, I am. I'm alive, for one thing. I'm dashed if I don't go out with the boy.
Coast clear, Gov? All right. Here are your hat and overcoat.
Where on earth did you get that dress suit?
Mum's the word, Gov. Brighton tailor, 6 months credit. Yet he promised to send the bill in to you so the mater won't know. Ooh, by Jove, Gov. Don't my togs show you up?
I won't go. I won't go. I never met such a boy before.
Oh, mind your arm, Gov. Oh, no, you've got your hand in a pocket. Oh, no, that's a tear in the lining. Well, that's it.
I forbid you to go out.
Yes, Gov. And I forbid you to eat any of those deviled oysters we shall get at the Hotel de Prince. Oh, now you're right.
I am not right.
I forgot. I found this money in your desk. You better take it out with you. You may want it. Gold, silver, and coppers. Yeah, one last precaution, and then we're off.
I shall take a turn round the square and then come home again. I will not be influenced by a mere child. A man of my responsible position, a magistrate, supping slyly at the Hotel des Princes in Meek Street. It's an abomination.
Now then, we'll creep downstairs quietly so as not to bring Wick from his pantry. You stick that up prominently while I turn down the lamps.
Your master and Mr. Cecil Farrington have gone to bed. Don't disturb them. I will not be a partner to any written document. This is untrue.
No, it isn't. We are going to bed when we come home. Make haste, Gov.
Oh, what a boy.
Now, don't breathe.
No, Sis, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Sis,
Don't bother.
Going out, sir?
No, yes. That is, partially. Half round the square and then possibly back again. Oh, you bad boy.
Shall I take this down then, sir?
An awful position. What shall I do?
Do as I do. Tip him.
What?
Tip him.
Oh, yes.
Oh, come on, Gov. We haven't got all night. Give him that.
Yes.
Yeah, and say, Wick, you want a new umbrella. Yeah, buy a very good one. Your mistress has a latchkey, so go to bed.
Wick?
Yes, sir?
Go to bed. Buy a very good one. Your mistress has a latchkey, so you want a new umbrella.
All right, sir. You can depend on me. Are you well muffled up, sir? Mind you take care of him, Master Sis.
Capital, Gov, capital. Are you hungry?
Hungry? Are you wretched boy? I told a falsehood.
No, you haven't. He really does want a new umbrella.
Does he, Sis? Does he? Oh, thank heavens.
Here. What? Tuppence? Ah, I'll tell the missus.
Never be mean with your tipping. What starts as a problem quite minor can end as a hazard to shipping. or the cause of an earthquake in China.
A tip is a sensitive matter. Too small and you risk a rebuff. Too large and you're seeming to flatter. So how do you know what's enough?
Well, tuppence is never enough. No, tuppence is never enough. Tips, microscopic or not, philanthropic, and tuppence is going too far, la la la. Give free and easily, not Ebeneezerly, tuppence is going too far, la la la. Fa la la la, fa la 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 la, tuppence is going too far, la la la. Fa la 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 la, fa la 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 la, tuppence is going too far, la 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 la. Of course, to give nothing to waiters, the customer's total preserve is. So in future, the waiters who hate us will have 12.5% service. That isn't fair. No one would dare to have 12.5% service.
A tip is a sensitive matter. Too small and you risk a rebuff. Too large and you're seeming to flatter.
So how do you know what's enough? Well, tuppence is never enough. No, tuppence is never enough. Fa la la la, fa la 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 la, tuppence is going too far, la la la. Fa la 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 la, fa la 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 la, tuppence is going too far, la la. Those who tip tuppence or raise it to threepence, tuppence or threepence,
You'll get your comeuppance, as tuppence is never enough.
Come on, girl. Come on, how are you, Isidore?
I beg your pardon, I am quite well, and so are you. Thank you.
I want a pretty little light supper for myself and my friend, Mr. Skinner.
Mr. Skinner.
Skinner, is someone else coming?
No, you're Skinner. Oh. Mr. Skinner of the Stock Exchange, what have you ready?
I beg your pardon, very good. But Monsieur Blanc, he said to me, Isidore, listen now. If Mr. Farrington, he come here, you say to him, I beg your pardon, you are a nice gentleman. But will you pay your little account when it is quite convenient, before you leave the house at once?
Quite so. There's no difficulty about that. How much is the bill?
I beg your pardon, £8 4 shillings.
Ooh, there go all my winnings from old Bullamy and the Gov. £2 short. Skinner!
Oh, sis.
Got any money on you?
Yes.
No, you always keep it in that pocket, Skinner. Voila.
Oh, Monsieur Blanc.
Ah, good evening, Mr. Farrington.
The bill is all right.
Good evening. My friend, Mr. Harvey Skinner of the Stock Exchange.
Very pleased to see you. So, are you going to enjoy yourselves?
Oh, rather.
Now, you usually eat in this room, but you don't mind giving it up for tonight, now do you?
Oh, she?
Come, to please me. A cab has just brought a letter from an old customer of mine, a gentleman I have not seen for over 20 years, who wishes to sup with a friend in this room tonight. It's quite true.
19A Cork Street. Fresh or rather stale from India. Want to sup with my friend Captain Vale tonight at my old table in my old room. Must do this for old lang syne. Yours, Alexander Lukin. Well, let him have it. And where will you put us?
You shall have the best room in the house. The one next to this. This room. Come with me. So, have you known Mr. Farringdon a long time?
No, not very long.
He is a fine fellow, Mr. Farringdon. Now, if you please, you can come through this door.
You'll look better after a glass or two of Pommery, Gov.
No, sis, now, no champagne.
No champagne, not for my friend, Mr. Skinner. You chuckle! Hey! Well, come on, Gov, dig me in the ribs like this. Chuckle! Yeah, and say, hey! Go on.
I can't. I don't know what it may mean.
No, go. What, yeah. Chuckle! Hey!
Like this? Chuck. Hey.
Yeah, that's it, you're getting it, Gov.
Am I, sis? Am I? Chuck. Hey!
Oh, Chuck! Hey! Oh, serve the supper a shield.
Oh, he is a calm fellow, Mr. Farringdon.
Chuck!
Hey! Replace the sofa.
Come in, please.
This is the room. Come in, Vale. This is my old supper room. I haven't set foot here for over 20 years. By George, I hope to sup here for another 20.
Do you? In less than that, unless I'm lucky enough to fall in some foreign set to, I shall be in Kensal Green Cemetery.
20 years ago. Confound them, they've painted it.
My people have 8 shelves in the catacombs of Kensal Green.
Nonsense, man, nonsense. You're a little low. Waiter, take our coat.
Don't check me, Lukin. My shelf is 4 from the bottom.
You'll forget the number of your shelf before you're halfway through your oysters.
An oyster merely reminds me of my own particular shell.
Oh.
Don't, Lukin, don't. It's very good of you, but by Jove, my heart is broken. Mind my flour, waiter, confound you.
You have ordered supper, sir?
Yes, on the back of my note to Mr. Blonde. Serve it at once.
I beg your pardon, sir? At once?
So you've been badly treated by a woman, eh, Vale?
Shockingly. Between man and man, a Miss Verinder. Charlotte, excuse me, Lukin.
Certainly. Does you great credit. Pretty woman.
Oh, lovely. The most magnificent set of teeth. All real, as far as I can ascertain.
No.
Fact.
Great loss. Have a cigarette.
Cork tips.
Yes. So was she full grown?
Just perfection. She rides 8 stone 15, and I have lost her, Lukin. Beautiful tobacco.
So what finished it?
She gave a man a silver cigarette case 3 days after our engagement.
No.
Fact. You remember Bristow? Gordon Bristow?
Perfectly best fellow in the world.
He carries that case up.
Villain! So will you begin with the light wine or go right on to the champagne?
By Jove, it's broken my heart, old fellow. I'll go right on to the champagne, please. Lukin, I shall make you my executor.
Oh, pooh, you'll outlive me. Why don't they bring the supper? You know, my heart has been broken like yours. It was broken first in Ireland in 55. It was broken again in London in 61. But then, in 1870, it was smashed in Calcutta.
What happened?
I got married. The supper! Are you hungry?
Very.
Can I look in?
And how are you? Not a day older. What have you got there?
2 ladies, Colonel, downstairs in a cab, must see you for a few moments alone.
Oh, good gracious. Excuse me, well, Mrs. Poskett. Mrs. Poskett. Mrs. Poskett entreats Colonel Lukin to see her for 5 minutes on a matter of urgent necessity and free from observation. By George, Poskett must be ill in bed. I thought he looked seedy last night. Of course. Say I'll come down.
It is raining outside. I had better ask them up.
Do. I'll get Captain Vale to step into another room. Be quick. Say that I'm quite alone.
Yes, Colonel.
Coming, sir, coming! I beg your pardon.
My dear Vale, I'm dreadfully sorry to bother you. 2 ladies, one of them the wife of a very old friend of mine, have followed me here and want half a dozen words with me alone. I'm in your hands. How can I manage it?
My dear fellow, don't mention it. I'll step into another room.
Thank you very much. And you're so hungry, too.
Oh, it's all right. I'll pop in here. occupied. Never mind, I'll find my way somewhere.
Are you alone? The ladies?
In one moment. Just take it, Vale. The ladies don't want to be seen. By George, I remember there's a little balcony to that window. Step out for a few moments, keep quiet. I shan't detain you. It's nothing important. Husband must have had a fit or something.
Oh, certainly.
Good fellow. Here's your hat. One moment. Awfully sorry. And you're so hungry, too. Oh, that's my hat.
My dear fellow, don't mention it.
Just room for him to stand like a man in a sentry box. Come in, Blonde.
Oh, Colonel Lukin.
And pray, compose yourself. Pray, compose yourself.
What will you think?
That I am perfectly enchanted.
Oh, thank you. My sister.
Be seated. Blonde, keep the waiter out till I ring, that's all.
Yes, Colonel.
Good gracious, Blonde, what's that?
The rain outside. It is cats and ducks.
By George, is it? Poor devil. There isn't any method of getting off that balcony, is there?
No. Apart from getting onto it.
What do you mean?
It is not at all safe. Do not use it.
I am honoured, Mrs. Foskett, by this visit, though for the moment I can't imagine...
Colonel Lukin, we drove to Cork Street to your lodgings, and there your servant told us you were supping with a friend. No one will be shown into this room while we are here.
No, we shall not be disturbed. Good heavens, suppose I never see him alive again. I'm afraid you come to tell me Poskett is ill.
No, my husband is at home.
Lord, forgive me, I killed him!
Colonel Lukin.
Yeah, madam.
Indeed, Mr. Poskett is at home.
Is he? I wish we all were.
Sunstroke, evidently, poor fellow. Indeed, Mr. Poskett is at home. Quite well. And by this time, sleeping soundly. Who's that?
Going in the next room. Hush! Hush, hush!
Get it over, Aggie, and let us go home. Oh, I'm so awfully hungry.
It is still bearing him. What's his weight? Surely he can't scale over 10 stone. Lord, how wet he is.
Colonel Lukin.
Madam, command me.
Colonel Lukin, we knew each other at Baroda 20 years ago.
When I look at you, impossible.
Well, then you mustn't look at me.
Equally impossible.
No, I feel quite out of this.
You were at my little boy's christening.
Yes, certainly.
You remember what a fine little fellow he was.
Not a pound over 10 stone.
Colonel Lukin.
I beg your pardon. I was at the christening of your boy.
One of the worst cases of sunstroke I've ever known.
Yes, I remember the child very well. Has he still got that absurd mug?
Colonel Lukin!
Madam?
My child is and always was perfect!
You misunderstand me. I was his godfather. I gave him a silver cup.
Oh, do excuse me, how did I become acquainted with such a vulgar expression? I don't know where I pick up my slang. It must be through loitering at shop windows.
Oh, pray, compose yourself. I'll leave you for a moment.
How shall I begin, Charlie?
Take a bold plunge, do. The odour of cooking here to a hungry woman is maddening.
This is too bad of Lukin. I'm coming in. I'm wet to the skin. Who the deuce are these women?
Colonel Lukin.
Madam, no crash yet.
Friend of 20 years. I will be quite candid with you. You are going to dine with us tomorrow.
Madam, I shall repay your candour as it deserves. I am.
My husband knows of your acquaintance with the circumstances of my first marriage. I know what men are. When the women leave the dinner table, men become retrospective. Now, tomorrow night, over dessert, I beg you not to give my husband dates.
Eh?
Keep anything like dates from him.
Mustn't eat stone fruit.
I mean years, months, days, dates connected with my marriage with Mr. Farrington.
Dear me, sore subject.
I will be more than candid with you. In dealing with my past, I met with more than ordinary difficulties. Oh.
Don't see why. Late husband died a natural death. Wasn't stood on a balcony or anything.
Colonel Lukin, You know I was 36 at the time of my recent marriage.
You surprise me.
You really look at me, Frank! Am I not 36? You are! Very well then. In a 3 weeks engagement, how was it possible for me to deal with the various episodes of 36 years? The past may be pleasant, golden, beautiful, but one may have too much of a good thing.
I'm in that position now.
The man who was courting me was seeking relaxation from the discharge of multifarious responsibilities. How could I tax an already wearied attention with the recital of the events of 36 years?
What did you do?
Out of consideration for the man I loved, I sacrificed 5 years of happy girlhood. Told him I was but 31, that I'd been married 15 years previously, and that my boy was but 14.
By George, Merriman, and am I to subscribe to all this?
Well, I only ask you to avoid the question of dates.
Yes, but at a man's dinner table.
You need not spoil a man's dinner. Not only a man's, but a woman's. Lucan, will you promise?
Give me a second to think. Ah, deviled oysters.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. Don't go. Pray, look at him again. What am I to do? Shall I promise? Poor Poskett. If I don't promise, she'll cry and won't go home. And the oysters are nearly cold. Cold? What must he be? He's gone. And without a cry. Brave fellow, brave fellow. Decay of stamina in the army. Pah! The young uns are worthy of our best days.
Colonel Lucan, will you promise?
Promise. Anything, my dear madam, anything.
Oh, thank you. May I ask you to see us to our cab?
Certainly. Thank heaven they're going.
Come along. It's all right.
Oh, but those oysters look so nice.
Stop! In my trouble, I am forgetting even the commonest courtesies to these ladies. You have a long journey before you. I'm sure your husband would not forgive me for letting you face such weather unprepared. Let me recommend an oyster or two and a thimbleful of champagne.
Oh, no, thank you, Colonel Lucan.
Say yes, I'm starving.
As you please. I knew they'd refuse. I've done my duty.
I was on the train until 7 o'clock, except...
The fact is, my sister has been travelling all day and is a little exhausted.
You don't mean to say you're going to give me the incomparable pleasure of... I am delighted.
Charlotte, I am surprised.
Nonsense. The best people come here. Some of them have written their names on the mirror.
This is much too bad of Lucan. What are they doing now? Confound them, they're having my supper.
Why doesn't he give me something to eat?
Tollyhock! How strange!
Gary? Oh, this bread is beautiful.
Don't you recognize that voice?
The only voice I recognize is the voice of hunger.
Oh, I'm overwrought, I suppose.
He has taken the oysters. I've seen him do it.
The oysters.
Anything wrong?
Sunstroke. Bad case.
Oh. Poor fellow. No plates.
Ask for them.
You asked.
Too hungry?
You're married. It comes better from you.
There are no plates.
No plates. No plates. That is my fault. Pardon me. Where are the plates?
Here are the plates of sharp Lucan.
Vale, safe and sound. Bless you, old fellow. I am myself again. My dear ladies, I blush, I positively blush. I am the worst host in the world.
By Jove, that's true.
Not at all, not at all.
I shall make amends, by George. You may have noticed that I have been confoundedly out of sorts. Well, that's my temperament. Now up, now down. But I've just taken a turn. The oysters.
Thank you.
No! They've gone cold. I see. You can skate on them. There's a dish of something else over there. Oh, thanks, old fellow.
I say, Lukin.
Ah, soles. They look tempting. If there are only some lemons, surely they would not be so brutal as to have forgotten the lemons. Where are they? Where are they? Have you seen any lemons?
Fred, think less of us, Colonel Lukin. Let me take care of you.
You're very kind, but I wish you would let me ring for some lemons.
Agatha! What is it, Charlie? Are you ill? Surely you must be choking. No, look! Who's that? What's that?
I can explain. Don't condemn before you've heard. I... Damn it, sir, put those lemons down.
He calls him sir. It must be a man.
It is a man. I am not in a position to deny that.
Really, Colonel Lukin?
It is my friend. He was merely waiting for his supper.
Your friend. Come home, dear.
Oh, do hear me. To avoid the embarrassment of your encountering a stranger, he retreated to the balcony.
To the balcony? You have shamefully compromised two trusting women, Colonel Lukin.
I would have laid down my life rather than have done so. I did lay down my friend's life.
He has overheard every confidential word I have spoken to you.
Hear his explanation. Why the devil don't you corroborate me, sir?
Certainly. I assure you I heard next to nothing.
Agatha!
I didn't come in till I was exceedingly wet.
You hear that?
And when I did come in...
Horace!
I beg your pardon.
It's Horace.
No.
Captain Vale!
Charlotte! Miss Verinder!
What are you doing here? What a fright you look.
What am I doing here? Really, Lukin, your conduct calls for some little explanation.
My conduct, sir?
You make some paltry excuse to turn me out in the rain while you entertain a lady who you know has very recently broken my heart.
I didn't know anything of the kind.
I told you, Lukin, really. This isn't the conduct of an officer and a gentleman.
Whose is it, yours or mine?
Mine! I mean yours!
You are in the presence of ladies, sir. Take off my hat.
I beg your pardon, I didn't know I had it on.
He's a very good-looking fellow. You don't see a man at his best when he's wet through.
Colonel Lukin, do you ever intend to send for a cab?
Certainly, madam.
One moment! I have some personal exchange with Miss Verinder.
The cigarette case. I am quite ready. Captain Vale.
Thank you. Colonel Lukin, kindly oblige me by stepping out onto that balcony.
Certainly not, sir.
You're afraid of the wet, Colonel Lukin. You are no soldier.
You know better, sir. As a matter of fact, that balcony can't bear a man like me.
Which shows that inanimate objects have a great deal of common sense, sir.
It's frightfully late. Tell him to write to you.
Oh, no, I must speak with him tonight. Life is too short for letters.
Mrs. Boskin. Miss Verinder. We...
Colonel Lukin and myself.
Captain Vale and I fear we have been betrayed in a moment of...
Natural irritation.
Natural irritation into the atrocious impropriety of differing...
Before ladies.
Charming ladies.
We beg your pardon.
Mrs. Poskett, I shall now go out to hail a cab.
Pray do.
Miss Verinder, the process will occupy 5 minutes.
Colonel Lukin, I return your kindness. My hat.
Thank you, my boy.
Excuse me, Colonel Lukin, it is 10 minutes past our time of closing. May I ask you to dismiss your party?
Pooh, isn't this a free country?
Yes, you are free to go home, Colonel. I shall get into trouble.
I'll have the first word. Really, Captain Vale, I'm surprised at you.
There was a happy time, Miss Verinder, when I might have been surprised at you.
A few hours ago, it was, by Jove, all is over. Now I find you with a bosom friend, enjoying deviled oysters.
I beg your pardon. I find you enjoying deviled oysters.
Horace Vale, you forget you have forfeited the right to exercise any control over my diet.
One would think I had broken off our engagement.
If you have not, who has? No, I have your letter, saying all is over between us. That letter will be stamped tomorrow at Somerset House. I know how to protect myself.
Charlotte, please explain your conduct with Gordon Bristow.
Well, I could if I chose. A young lady can explain anything.
But he is showing your gift to our fellows all over the place.
It was a debt of honor. He bet me a box of gloves to a silver cigarette case that I couldn't dance with every young officer at Lady Dashwood's ball. I couldn't come to you with debts hanging over me. I'm too conscientious.
By Jove, I've been a brute.
You have, sir, you have. What makes it worse? I very nearly won that bet.
Can you ever forget that I wrote that letter?
Well, that must be a question of time. Oh, how damp you are.
Yeah.
If you went on anyhow, every time I discharged an obligation, we should be most unhappy.
I promise you I won't mention Bristow's cigarette case again. By Jove, I won't. There.
Very well, then. If you do that, I'll give you my word I won't pay any more of my debts.
My darling.
No, no. You are too damp.
Aeneas! My boy! Miserable deceiver! This, then, is the club. And the wretched man conspires to bring my boy down to his own awful level. What should I do? I daren't make myself known here. I know. I'll hurry home, and if I reach there before Aeneas, which I shall do, I'll sit up for them. Is the cat at the door?
It is.
Doggone it!
My dear madam. What's the matter?
The police. The police! The police are downstairs at the door. I told you so.
Oh, dear, oh, dear.
Gracious, pause!
Quiet, please. They may be satisfied with Madame Blonde's assurances. I must put you in darkness. They can see the light in here if they go round the back. Oh! Keep quiet, please. My license has been marked once already. Can I look in? Thank you for this.
Miserable men! What have you done? Are you criminals?
You haven't deserted or anything on my account. Have you, Horace?
Hush, don't be alarmed. Our time has passed so agreeably that we have overstepped the prescribed hour for closing the hotel, that's all.
Well, what can they do to us?
We'll at the worst take our names and addresses and summon us for being here during prohibited hours.
Oh,
my dear.
Well, I beg your pardon. The police have come in.
They are going over the house. No! They'll put a man round the back. Keep away from the window. Sit!
No, the police!
Thank you very much.
The police are coming!
Lie down. Now, I will put you to bed on the sofa. That will explain the light that has just gone out. Thank you very much.
Charlie! Charlie!
Yes?
Where are you?
Here.
Well, where is Captain Vale?
I think he's near me.
By Jove, Charlotte, I am.
Lucan!
Here, madam.
Don't leave us!
I am a soldier, madam.
This way, be quick. Oh. The police have just entered the room in which these gentlemen were having supper. One is very anxious not to be asked any questions. Hide him and his friends somewhere. They are both very nice gentlemen.
Advise me, my boy, advise me.
It's all right, Gov. It's all right. Get behind something.
Yes, and my child!
The police are coming.
I beg your pardon. I think I am addressing a lady. I am entirely the victim of circumstance. Will you accept my apologies for this apparent intrusion? Madam, I applaud your reticence. But any statement made under the present circumstances will not be used against you. Oh, where is that boy? Madam, it may be acute nervousness on your part, but you appear to be biting my arm.
You need not trouble yourself. Take my word for it.
Oh, no trouble, Mr. Blonde. Thank you. candles blown out lately. This is where the light was?
Perhaps. My servant Isidore sleeps here. He has only just gone to bed.
Oh, dead tired, I suppose.
I suppose so.
He sleeps in his clothes.
Oh, yes.
Always?
Always. It is a rule of the hotel.
Oh, why is that?
To be ready for the morning.
All right.
You will not wake him, monsieur. He sleeps like a log.
Is it all?
Yes, sir.
Go downstairs and give your particulars to Sergeant Jarvis.
Yes, sir, at once.
Why did you get up so quickly? Devil take you.
I beg your pardon.
What is underneath that window, Mr. Blonde?
Oh, the skylight to the kitchen. Devil take it.
Thank you. You can go down to the sergeant now, Mr. Blonde.
With pleasure. Devil take me.
Now then, Harris.
Yes, sir.
Now, keep perfectly still and hold your breath for as long as you can.
You want me to hold my breath, sir?
Yes. I want to hear how many people are breathing in this room. Are you ready?
Oh, well, yes, sir. Yes.
Go. You are breathing.
Oh, Lord, yes, sir.
You will report yourself tonight.
Oh, listen, I held on till I nearly went off,
Here,
though, sir.
Don't argue, but lights up. Go on. There are half a dozen people concealed in this room. Yes, I thought so.
Come on, Gav. Come on. Six people are running, sir.
They're killed!
No, they are not. They are in the kitchen. And the balcony with them. But look sharp, Alice.
I shall report you for this, sir.
Oh, very sorry, sir. It is my duty.
Duty, sir? Coming your confounded detective tricks on ladies and gentlemen. How dare you make ladies and gentlemen suspend their breathing till they nearly have apoplexy? Do you know I'm a short-necked man, sir?
I didn't want you to leave off breathing, sir. I wanted you to breathe louder. Your name and address. Army gentleman, sir.
How do you know that?
Short style of speaking, sir. Army gentlemen run a bit brusquish when on in years.
Alexander Lukin, Colonel, Her Majesty's Cheshire Light Infantry, late 41st Foot, 3rd Battalion, Bengal, retired.
Hotel or club, Colonel?
Neither. 19A Cork Street, lodgings.
Very nice part, Colonel, thank you. Other gentlemen?
Horace Edmund Cholmondeley Clive Napier Vale, Captain, Shropshire Fusiliers, Stark's Hotel, Conduit Street.
Retired, sir?
No, confound you, active.
Thank you, Captain. Now, well, I beg pardon, the ladies...
Oh, no. Trust me, what's that?
Names and addresses, please.
Officer, my good fellow, tell me now, at this present moment, what are you most in want of?
Oh, these two ladies' names and addresses, please, sir. Be quick, Colonel. That lady first.
Christian names, Alice Emmeline.
Alice Emmeline. Surname?
Fitzgerald. 101 Wilton Street, Piccadilly.
Single lady.
Quite.
Very good, sir.
Thank you. Such a nice address, too.
Now, Captain, please, that lady.
This lady is the other lady's sister.
Single lady, sir.
Sadly.
Christian name, Captain, please.
Harriet.
Surname, please, sir.
Mac Namara.
Quite so. Lives with her sister, of course, sir.
Of course.
Where at, sir?
Albert Mansions, Victoria Street.
Well, I'm very much obliged, gentlemen.
By George, well out of it. There, go get!
Oh, sorry. Sir, those other two gentlemen got clean off through the back scullery door.
Damn!
But they were old hands in all appearance, sir.
My boy, see!
Constable, get out of the way.
Alice,
yes, sir.
You will leave the hotel with these two ladies. You will not lose sight of them till you've ascertained what their names are and where they do live.
What?
No! It's your own fault, sir. 'Tis my duty.
And it is my duty, sir, to save these helpless ladies from the protecting laws of my confounded country. Well,
Active!
let these ladies pass. More of your fellows outside!
Yes, sir. At your service, sir. I am very sorry, but you and your party are in my custody.
What?
For assaulting this man in the execution of his duty.
And you'll dare to lock us up all night?
It's 1 o'clock now, sir. You'll be in the dock first thing in the morning.
In the dock? At what court?
Mulberry Street.
Oh, the magistrate?
Mr. Poskett, mum.
It's the little lies that get you into trouble, and everyone who carelessly ignores these well-intentioned warnings bound to wake up in the morning